This is researcher Isaac. Now, Isaac is a bit of a data aficionado and he's been researching attendance figures from Europe's Big 5 leagues to try and measure which clubs are packing the stands and which have rows of empty seats. In this video, we're going to show you the best supported and least supported teams that you can manage in FM24. Starting in Liga, with a total capacity of 617,825 seats, Ligue is full of fierce rivalries and passionate fans, with 74.12% of those seats being filled on average every game week. There is already a strong fan presence at many games, but not in the Principality of Monaco, where the local club AS Monaco have a stadium capacity of 18,523, but an average attendance of just 7,095, giving them an attendance percentage of just 38%. Founded in 1919 on the back of the unification of several clubs from France and Monaco, they've won 8 league titles and appeared in 2 European finals. But the club have always struggled to attract Monaco's 40,000 residents to matches. Perhaps they're too busy racing around, or maybe they've got other things on their minds. But could you be the manager who helps fill the Stade Louis II? But at the other end of the spectrum, we have RC Lens averaging more fans in their stadium every week than the city's entire population. Lens is in northern France, home to 32,000 residents, but with an average attendance of 37,652 fans, it's safe to say that the local population are well and truly behind them. The club's connection to the local people can be traced back to the 1960s, when the city's mayor, André Delally, recognised the links between the team's performance on the pitch and the morale in the city. From this point onwards, the side has had heavy local support, but the one thing that needs adding is more silverware. Having last won the French top flight in 1998, there is an opportunity to improve on last season's runners-up spot and reward the fans' loyalty with trophies and European adventures. From France to neighbouring Spain, where La Liga has an average attendance of 75% each match day, Celta Vigo's recent history has been quite the ride for fans, having been playing in the second division between 2008 and 2012 to reaching the semi-finals of the 2017 UEFA Europa League, where they were eliminated by eventual champions Manchester United. They suffered declining attendances whilst playing in the second division, but despite finishing 13th in the Liga last season, they only filled 49.74% of their stadium on average. This was one of the lowest attendance rates in Europe, but can you take the club back to continental competition and fill their stadium in the process? Or maybe you prefer a packed stadium in Catalonia, but perhaps not where you'd expect. When people think of Catalonian football, it conjures up images of Barcelona or maybe Espanyol. But Girona had a higher average attendance percentage than both clubs, averaging 11,471 spectators at their 13,450-seater stadium, giving them a percentage attendance of 85%. Now, there is plenty of history to be written in your Girona save, including aiming to win the club's first major trophy or masterminding a maiden European adventure. But Girona are also part of the City group, so your long-term target could be to overtake Manchester City in terms of reputation and fan base. Next to Italy, where Internazionale became the first Italian side to reach a Champions League final since 2017 last season. This success brought the fans flocking, with an average attendance percentage of 95.66% at the 76,000 capacity San Siro. Inter had a fairy tale run to the Champions League final and, despite coming up just short, won the hearts of fans worldwide who reminisce about the club's last Champions League win in 2010. The mission for this save will be to take Inter to another Champions League final, but this time with a different outcome. But if Inter's season was a fairy tale for their fans, Hellas Verona's was a nightmare that almost ended in relegation. After finishing level on points during the league phase, the team qualified for a relegation tiebreaker, where a 3-1 win against Spezia ensured their survival in the top flight. Averaging a stadium attendance of just 48.98% and just surviving the drop means that a club with a long and established history that has previously seen legends of the game campaign come through its doors needs a complete reset in your Football Manager save. Can you take on the challenge of building the fan base and the club's team so that they can once more compete at the top? Next to Germany's Bundesliga, and in a league that implements the 50+1 rule and where supporters influence the direction of clubs, it is no surprise that the Bundesliga has one of the highest attendance percentages in Europe at almost 93%. But to take charge of the club with the lowest average percentage attendance in last season's Bundesliga, you'd need to begin your FM24 adventure in Tier 2. Hertha were formed in 1892 and one of the founding members of the Bundesliga, but recent history has not been so kind to this historic club. Having been relegated last season, their attendance percentage was just 71.86%. In contrast, city rivals Union had a percentage of 99.44. Hertha have been a club in decline for too long, but under your management, this club from the capital certainly have the potential to fill their 75,000 capacity Olympia Stadion once more. Yet there are no such problems in Bavaria, however, where Bayern Munich are a superpower in world football, having won the Bundesliga 33 times and the Champions League on 6 occasions. The club also has the highest attendance rate in Europe's top 5 leagues, filling 99.98% of their stadium on average each week. Should you take on this Bavarian behemoth in FM24, your challenge would be to continue that dynasty. And finally, to England, where the Premier League has an average attendance rate of 97.26%. This means approximately 799,329 seats are occupied across the league every single game week, and we will find the clubs with the highest and lowest percentage attendance playing in the same city. West Ham United moved into the 62,500-seater London Stadium in 2016, following a 112-year history at the Berlin ground. Despite some early teething issues at the London Stadium, the 2022-23 season brought European success to the club. Last season, West Ham had one of the highest attendance rates in Europe, with 99.94% of the seats being taken at the London Stadium on average. Yet despite this tremendous support, the Irons only secured Premier League survival with 2 games to go, eventually finishing 14th. Fans are certainly ready and waiting, so can you take over at West Ham United and help secure a First League title for the Hammers? Meanwhile, London rivals Fulham enjoyed a successful return to the Premier League last season, eventually finishing 10th. However, the club had one of the lowest average percentage attendances in the Premier League, filling just 90.53% of Craven Cottage each week. The club certainly have a rich history, but have yet to win a major honour, despite appearing in an FA Cup and a European final. But with a stadium to fill as well as a trophy cabinet, perhaps this is the FM24 save you've been yearning for.